as many of us still struggle to adjust to the recent daylight saving time change, there are also those that continue to have problems falling asleep no matter what time of year it is.
I don't have a problem falling asleep. I just don't get enough hours.
I have a problem waking up.
Yeah, also that. Snooze, snooze, snooze. So this is a serious problem plaguing millions of people across the globe, but there are proven ways to get back on track. Dr. Payal Kohli joins us once again this morning. Thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning. My two favorite sleep-deprived anchors, right?
Whenever these come up, we're like, tell us what we're doing wrong. What can we do to improve? So sleep is so important, yet so many people just do not get enough. Talk about why that's really important.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. A third of Americans are sleep deprived. And if you look at our lifespan, we actually spend about a third of our life sleeping, or we should spend a third of our life sleeping, because we know if we're chronically sleep deprived, not only does it impair sort of our performance the next day, but there are chronic health issues like high blood pressure, weight gain, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, sleep apnea, all kinds of things that can happen. So it's really important for us to get that regular sleep, and that's that 7 to 9 hours a night.
What are the functions that happen while we are sleeping? What does our body actually do?
So first and most important, memory consolidation. So we think better, our cognition is clearer if we're getting that regular 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Our risk for actually having dementia later in life, because it's sort of like the brain is kind of doing its garbage work while we're sleeping. And in fact, what we see in the studies is that if you go to sleep at the same time every day, the brain does its kind of garbage clearance work better, as opposed to sleeping at different times or having an erratic sleeping schedule. When we sleep, our body temperature drops, and that shifts our body into what's called a restorative mode. So it starts repairing cell damage, so it can reduce our risk for illnesses like cancer as well, or inflammatory conditions, because any damage that's happened during the day to our tissues actually gets repaired while we're sleeping.
All I'm hearing is that everything that we're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Totally.
also why we say we should have more sick days on the morning show, because we're just not getting enough. So it's really tough. Talk about seasonal sleep. What's the concept, and do we sleep different in different seasons?
We do, and our body sort of adjusts differently. So if you think about the daylight, which is something what our body's internal clock is adjusted to, it's called the circadian rhythm. So there's a little gland in our brain called the pineal gland that responds to light, and that regulates our sleep schedule. So in winter, we need more sleep. When the days are dark and it's cold outside, our brain actually tells our body we need more sleep. And then in the summer, the spring, days are longer, we can actually feel a little bit more energetic. So we should be adjusting how much we're sleeping a little bit based on what the light outside is doing.
What does that adjustment look like? Like, how many hours are we talking here?
Still has to be within that 7 to 9 hour window for most adults. Now, there's some adults who are have what's called a short sleeper gene, where they're conditioned genetically to need less sleep and still have all of those functions. But if you think about how we sleep as we get older, we spend less time in deep sleep. So our sleep architecture, not just the amount of sleep, but the way we're sleeping, changes as we get older. So because we're getting less restorative deep sleep as adults, we actually need more quantity to make up for it. So my point is, every season, every phase of your life, you should be actively evaluating your sleep. Are you getting enough? Are you getting the right types? And then changing accordingly.
Now let me ask, I'm going to tell on myself here. So I think at best with this schedule, I pray for 6 hours of sleep a night with my schedule, but I'm a napper. I aim to get at least an hour of a nap every day in. Is napping good for getting more restorative sleep? Do we get to count that toward our hours?
Okay, so let's talk about that. Napping is great, but you really want to keep your naps to 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh my
wow.
gosh, I feel terrible.
After that power nap, if you go longer than that, you change what architecture of your sleep is. You'll get into a deeper sleep, and then that can be a little bit more disruptive to your nighttime sleep schedule and your sleep architecture. Now, if you're Jordan and you're sleeping 6 hours, then you probably need a longer nap to make up for it.
Sure.
But for most of us, we should try to limit our naps to 15 to 20 minutes and try not to do them after 2 p.m. because then it's going to interfere with your nighttime sleep. But the studies have shown napping is actually really good. It helps to reset our brain. And if you look at history, people used to nap. In the medieval times, in the middle of the day, it's what's called biphasic sleep, where bodies are designed to actually have sort of 2 rounds of sleep, so to speak.
Oh, I live for my naps. I really, really do.
How long are your naps?
Well, I get about 4.5 hours of sleep a night, so.
That was not what I thought you were about to say.
No, and so I get like an hour nap at least a day. But if I were to try to get up after 15 minutes, what, 4.5 hour nap?
I thought she was about to tell us she takes 4.5 hour naps.
Not with children, no. But I do try to get like an hour nap in the
Well,
middle
you
of the
do
day.
need to sleep more than 4.5, Corey. I'll tell you that. Whether it's for your external appearance, your internal body, sleep is so important. The only time I recommend sleep aids is when you're traveling internationally. Melatonin helps reset. Otherwise, don't take them on a regular regular basis, they distort that architecture.
Good to know. All right, Dr. Kohli, thank you very much. Me and Sleeping Beauty are going to work out some tips over here.
Sleeping Beauty, stop. You can find all of Dr. Kohli's appearances at 9news.com/Dr. Kohli.